Hey guys, first of all, we know these videos are really unpopular. Some people don't like us talking about COVID. Some people don't like us talking about vaccinations. We don't like talking about it either, to be honest, but we say that we will talk about anything and everything about Japan, and that's what's happening at the moment, so that's what we're going to talk about on this video. So if you don't want to hear about it, then go watch something else. Go watch some 16-year-old kid play Minecraft. So what's happening this week? The Australian softball team arrived in Japan in preparation for the Olympics. It seems it's really happening. Apparently that was the first team to turn up in preparation. So apparently all the people involved in that group, so the players and the coaches and everybody else have all been vaccinated, and they're tested every day apparently. So don't know how long that's going to go on, if it's the whole time that they're here or not, but at the moment they're being tested for COVID every day, which is pretty thorough, isn't it? So in the meantime, of course, large part of Japan is still under a state of emergency. The government extended the state of panic, as we call it. They extended the state of panic until the 20th of June. So as we predicted, during Golden Week, a few weeks ago we had Golden Week, which is a series of public holidays. And interestingly, during that time the government didn't declare a state of emergency because they wanted people to go home and visit their family, their extended family, and travel to other cities and move around Japan. And as we predicted at the time, the result of that, of course, was another increase in COVID cases. So the day after Golden Week, the day after that 1 week long holiday was over, they declared a state of emergency again, which is, you know, typical. That's the way these guys do stuff. And when I say these guys, the guys that run the place, you know, we've noticed over the last year and a half, the Japanese people have been excellent during this thing. You know, a year and a half ago, the government said, okay, you know, we've got this COVID thing happening, we need you to wear masks and wash your hands and stay away from each other. And that's exactly what the Japanese people did. So the people themselves have been really, really good. It's the old guys that run the place that have been just constantly behind the game right from the start. You know, and they'll declare a state of panic and then the numbers will start to come down. So then they had the Go to Travel campaign, everybody went travelling, so the numbers went up again. So they cancelled the Go to Travel campaign, so the numbers came down again. The numbers being the new cases of COVID. So then they had the Go to Eat campaign. Everybody go out and go to restaurants and eat meals. And so the cases went up again, so we'll cancel that, so it went back down again. And that's been it for the last 18 months. These old guys, they take so long to have their meetings and discuss things and make decisions that they're constantly behind the game. They're constantly behind what's going on. And so there's this constant, you know, more cases and then less cases and more cases, and, you know, and of course the other result is that they do everything so slowly that Japan's only got 3% of the country has been vaccinated so far, which is one of the lowest rates of the first world countries, which is an embarrassment. And particularly at the moment, it's a huge embarrassment because the whole world is going to be looking, oh, here come the Olympics, what's happening in Japan? Oh, Japan has lots of new cases of COVID, 3,000 people a day testing positive for COVID in Japan, and only 3% of the population has been vaccinated. So the whole world is going to be looking at that and saying, geez, that's not very good, is it? You know, that's one of the lowest rates of the world. The world rate at the moment for vaccination is 5%, so that's taking over 5%, which is taking into consideration all those third world countries that haven't been vaccinated at all. But the world average is 5.5%, so it's lower than that. So it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment, and the world's going to be looking. So some people really don't like the criticisms, but you better get used to it, because when the world's media see what's going on in Japan, there's sure to be criticism. There's sure to be criticism, you know, and a lot of countries, you know, it'd be interesting to see who's going to pull out, because, you know, for those reasons. But anyway, we'll see. So yeah, state of emergency on the 20th of June. Yeah, so we've got 3% of the population fully vaccinated. They've been doing the over 65s. So we know a couple of people have been vaccinated. We also have some healthcare people in our family, and they've been vaccinated as well. But the rest of us, you know, who knows when the rest of us will get done. You know, it could be next year if we're lucky. You know, who knows? They've got a big push on because a lot of the Olympic goings on are going to be in Tokyo and Osaka. They've got a big campaign on at the moment, and the military have set up some centres in Tokyo and Osaka, and they're mass vaccinating lots of people, not just the over 65, sort of everybody they can get their hands on. With big panic at the end. It's typical, you know. The Japanese media are saying, oh, you know, here's what's being done, as if it's good. You know, and it's just a big panic at the end. Oh, geez, it's June. The Olympic people have started turning up, and we've only got 3% of the population vaccinated. Geez, we better do something. You know, setting up these centres, and they were saying that they're aiming to do 15,000 people a day, which there's 127 million people in Japan. That's 1,000 days. That's 3 years, right? Of course, they're not going to do everybody, but you know, just sort of some rough math there. Not good. Anyway, some more interesting statistics. 80% of Japanese people don't want the Olympics, right? So, you know, they're protesting. There's some Japanese people protesting that they don't want the Olympics. Most Japanese people don't protest, though. They just quietly, when pushed to give their opinion, they will say, oh, maybe we should do it another time. Maybe in the middle of a pandemic is not a good time to hold the Olympics. Can't argue with that. So yeah, 3,000 people a day testing positive. So far during this wonderful 18 months, we've had 744,000 people tested positive. We've got 46,000 active cases at the moment. There's been a total of 13,241 deaths. So some people argue, of course, that compared to some countries, that's not too bad. Well, you know, it depends on whether one of those people's in your family, you know. So again, I mean, we keep hearing that argument from some people. Only 2% people die from COVID, but 2% of 127 million would be 2 million people, and 2% of the world would be billions of people, wouldn't it? So we don't sort of support the logic of that argument. So the other consequences of all this, the side effects of all this, of course, that we're seeing is they recently told, they told a while ago the restaurants and bars to close at 8:30, which is a weird thing to do because all that's meant is that they've been more busy. That the restaurants that we normally see that are normally half full all night long are actually fully full between about 6 o'clock and 8:30 because everyone's trying to get in there and eat before the last order, which is the last order is usually before 8:30. So that's a weird thing. It's actually, you'd think it's going to do more harm than good, that rule, and they've had that rule in for a few months. And then some restaurants have been doing takeaways, and we actually called one up the other night and said, oh, can we order dinner? It was 6 o'clock on a Sunday night. Can we order takeaways? And we don't start takeaway orders till 7:30, right? It was a family, it was Denny's. It was Denny's family restaurant. And I was like, how typical, you know, how typical. We don't do takeaways till 7:30. So can you imagine how many families would call Denny's between 6 and 7:30 wanting takeaways, can't get them till 7:30 and just say, oh, we'll do something else. You know, typical. The old guys who run the country and the old guys who run the companies and make the decisions in the companies are pretty similar old guys, apparently. So recently in some of the places, there's about half a dozen of the prefectures who have the state of panic going on, including Tokyo, and they've just told the restaurants and bars to close. And we know a lot of the ones that we support, the English-friendly ones that we support on the English-friendly directory, have just been told to close for a month until the 20th of June, which is just devastating for those guys. You know, those of you who run small businesses or who work for small businesses know that, you know, a month's revenue, because their costs are still there, they still have to pay their staff and they still have to pay their rent and all the other expenses, and then suddenly they don't have any income for a month. It's just devastating to those guys, you know, and we really feel for them, you know, because our connection through the English Friendly Directory, we talk to lots of these guys, and it's really hard, and because some of them are trying to adapt, and with this too, look, some of them are trying to adapt by doing online sales or takeaways or things like that. So look, we call on you guys if you can. So for example, we know some bars that are selling alcohol online. We know some places that are selling food online, and we know people that are doing takeaway and takeouts and that sort of stuff. So we'd ask you guys, if if you're living in Japan and you can possibly buy some food, some takeaway food from a small business, we'd really encourage you to try and do that as much as you can, because that'll help those guys survive. If you're living in Japan and you can buy some stuff online, so we can show you through the Facebook page, English Family Directory Facebook page, and on the English Family Directory itself, we're constantly promoting businesses that sell online. So like alcohol, we've got alcohol, coffee, tea, green tea, Japanese tea. You can actually buy that overseas too. They sell that overseas too as well, and the coffee. And then all sorts of other online stuff that you can buy from inside Japan or outside Japan. We got meat. One company came on recently that does burritos and all those sorts of tasty things already made up. So anything you can do like that to support those guys, because it could be the difference between them closing and not. And them closing means that they lose their income to support their families, and the people who work for them lose their income to support their families as well. So it's devastating. It's devastating. So anything you can do to help those guys is really appreciated. And then any of the other online shopping businesses that you know of, or that we show you as well, like the fake food and the guys that sell all the online stuff, anything you can do to support them. And because it's a good thing for us too, right? If we're sitting at home, it's the best place, if you're in a place where COVID's still pretty strong, if we can get tasty food or tasty drinks or whatever online and stay home, then it's good for us too, isn't it? And I mean, we've got those guys, enough guys now, we can actually buy everything we need for a barbecue online, and get it all delivered and not have to go out, so, and that supports them. So everybody wins in that situation, So while we're on that circumstance too, obviously, because a lot of the businesses on the English Family Directory have lost their income, that means that we've lost a lot of our income as well, because we get some income from some of those guys pay for their listings on the directory, and because they don't have any money at the moment. So it's killing us as well. So just a quick thank you to our patrons on Patreon and our supporters on PayPal that support us through PayPal. We really appreciate that. And that if you're not already supporting us on Patreon, or if you are and you can step up your support, or if you're not supporting us and you want to have a look at it, please have a look at our Patreon page. Consider supporting our channel to continue doing what we're doing. And same with PayPal too. We've got a new link for PayPal, an easy link for PayPal. You'll see underneath all our videos down in the description. So, again, without you guys, we'd be screwed. Actually made a comment on a previous video and said, if it wasn't for you guys, we'd have to be working part-time at a convenience or something. And someone actually said, oh, that's a sort of putting down people who work in convenience stores. I've worked in convenience stores, okay? I wasn't putting down people who work in convenience stores. I've worked in convenience stores, and I'd be quite prepared to, again, to pay the bills and look after my family, quite happily. I'd do anything. I'd shovel dirt in the rice fields or work in a convenience or do anything, because that's what you do to pay your bills, right? That wasn't the point of that comment. That wasn't the point of the comment. The point of the comment was that some people who watch our videos and see our pictures, the photos that we take and so on, like what we do and want us to continue, and we'd like to continue doing that as well. Because we have jobs, right? We do have real jobs, but we sort of treat this, as well as being a pleasure, making videos and taking the photos, as well as being a pleasure that we all enjoy, everyone in our family enjoys being involved in that. It is also a sort of a part-time job for us as well, and it's totally essential for us to pay our bills. So some of you guys are familiar with the cork board. We have the notorious cork board in our house that's covered with all our bills, and every time we get some bit of support, it allows us to take one of those away, or half of one of them away, or helps us towards taking one of those bills away, and helps us to continue, paying our bills and doing what we're doing. And the reality is that if it wasn't for that support, then we'd have to spend more time at work, and then we wouldn't have the time to make the videos and take the photos. So from our point of view, if anything to do to support us on Patreon or PayPal would be wonderful. There's links underneath this video in the description. And then same with, if you're in Japan and you can buy any of these things online from those businesses, please do. If you can travel in Japan, you can go and stay in a place, the places we show you, go stay in a place for a weekend, or go to a restaurant for dinner, or do something and spend some money. Please do, and particularly the small businesses, the big businesses like Denny's and all those guys, they're going to be fine. Another 6 months isn't going to kill them. They're going to be fine. But a lot of these small businesses, that income that drops for 1 month is enough to bring a lot of them down, and we've seen it. We've already seen that businesses go broke just because of what's happened already over the last 18 months. So a lot of them are really struggling to survive. So anything you can do to spend money with those guys would be great. If you're outside Japan, you can buy something online, like the green tea company. You know, they sell green tea all around the world. You know, that helps support them. A lot of the businesses have pivoted too. You know, Arigato Japan tours. You know, they do a lot of online stuff now because, of course, you know, their businesses has suffered. But those guys, you know, people like that are really clever at going, right, you know, instead of crying in a corner, they've sort of changed their approach and go, okay, what can we do? So anything you see like that online that supports these guys, you know, we really encourage you to do it. And then if there's nobody in Japan you can support, wherever you happen to be living in the world, you know, if there's a small business down the road, you know, a small bar or restaurant or somebody like that that's struggling that you can spend money with, you know, really encourage you to do it. Because everyone wins. You know, it's one of those things, if you go and buy a few drinks or go and buy dinner or something, you know, it's not charity, is it? You're supporting them, but at the same time, you know, you're getting something good back, aren't you? So we'd encourage anybody watching to do that. So anyway, that's the latest from Japan. No doubt there's going to be some interesting stuff happening over the last couple of months, over the next couple of months, with all the Olympic teams turning up or not turning up, which is what we anticipate. That it's inevitable. There was one team getting ready to come, can't remember, it might have been Jamaica or somebody getting ready to come, and then they couldn't get COVID tests in their countries, so they couldn't come yet, or something like that. So there'll be a lot of that, no doubt, because if they haven't had their COVID test done before they come, they're not allowed to come. It doesn't seem that they're quarantining them when they arrive. They're putting them in a bubble, what they call it, where they're just sort of keeping them separate from the general community, but they're allowed to go to their training camps and things like that. So they're not quarantining them as such, but they need to have their COVID test done before they come, and then they're tested every day. So anybody that has a problem with that or doesn't have a test before they arrive isn't going to be able to get in the country. No doubt there'll be some countries that will decide not to come. Australia was talking about not coming, and then they came, so I don't know what happened there. But no doubt there'll be more of that. So no doubt there'll be some interesting news over the next couple of months, some interesting discussions, you know. So no doubt you'll be hearing it on wherever you are in the world. You'll be seeing it on your own news services, because it's going to be world news, isn't it, over the next couple of months. So anyway, there was that. We'll keep you updated with whatever we hear. You know, again, we think our job over the last 18 months has been to distract people from this. That's why we show you, you know, the countryside scenes, and we continue trying to make videos and take pictures as we've always done, because we know to some people it's a pleasant distraction, you know, and that's with the cycling videos we've been doing and the other ones. That's what we've got in mind with that, is that there's a lot of people that are stuck in their homes at the moment that can't get out and enjoy the countryside, and those things are for those people. And we know one or two people have said, you know, wow, I'm really enjoying that, seeing the countryside or the beach. We had one at the beach recently. You know, and some people are really enjoying them because it's a change of scenery from sitting staring at the walls in their house, you know, which is why I'm sitting out here. It's just too rainy and noisy in the car today to make a video in the car. So just to give you something different to look at, you know. Rainy day in Japan, there it is, you know. Anyway, that was it. We'll keep you updated. More videos coming soon.